Hi, my name is Auburn Dittmer, and I'm giving a speech on type 1 diabetes. When people think of diabetes, they think of overweight people who eat too much sugar and a lot of carbs. Well, that's type 2 diabetes. Type 1 is totally different. Some people might have family members or loved ones who have type 1 diabetes. My brother has type 1 diabetes, and he was diagnosed when he was 4 in preschool. So I have first-hand experience on this. Type 1 diabetes is more common than you think in young kids, and you need to know the warning signs. 5 million people in the U.S. are expected to have type 1 diabetes by 2050, including nearly 600,000 youth, says JDRF. First, I will explain type 1 diabetes. Then, I will talk about warning signs. Lastly, I will explain how to manage and live with type 1 diabetes. As many as 3 million Americans have type 1 diabetes, according to the Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation, also known as JDRF. About 15,000 children and 15,000 adults are diagnosed each year. First, I'm going to tell you about type 1 diabetes and how it works. Type 1 diabetes is an autoimmune disease, which means that the person could do nothing to prevent it, and there's nothing they did that caused it. Basically, the immune system attacks itself, and the pancreas stops producing insulin. Insulin is very important because it is needed to sustain blood sugar levels. Too much insulin can make your blood sugar go low and go into hypoglycemia. Not enough insulin can make you go high and go into hyperglycemia. This can be very dangerous and life-threatening. The American Diabetes Association says diabetes remains the 7th leading cause of death in the U.S. in 2015, with 79,535 death certificates listing it as the underlying cause of death, and a total of 252,806 death certificates listing diabetes as an underlying or contributing cause of death. Deaths can be prevented by knowing the warning signs. There are many warning signs you need to look for and keep an eye on for type 1 diabetes. Warning signs of type 1 diabetes appear suddenly and may include drowsiness, extreme thirst, frequent urination, fruity odor on breath, increased appetite, heavy or labored breathing, sudden weight loss, sudden vision changes, sugar in the urine, and unconsciousness, says JDRF. Knowing the warning signs can prevent a death by diabetes. According to Life Science, nearly a third of people in Maryland who died over a 6-year period died from diabetic ketoacidosis, which is a condition of severe insulin deficiency, and they had no known history of diabetes, the study of autopsy results found. After being diagnosed, adapting to the new lifestyle and living with diabetes can be very hard. Lastly, I will explain how to live with and manage with type 1 diabetes. Type 1 diabetes is constant and you never get rid of it. You always have to manage it every time you eat, play sports, and all other activities. My brother has baseball games, and when he gets nervous before them, his blood sugars can go from 200, between 100 and 200 where they're supposed to be, all the way up to in the 400s and 500s, which can be very dangerous. People with type 1 diabetes have to prick their finger to check their blood sugar 6 times a day and have to take shots 3 times a day, plus 1 at night. You are given a certain amount of carbs you can eat per meal, and that keeps the blood sugars in range between 100 and 200. An individual that doesn't have diabetes, their normal blood sugar range is between 80 and 100. Your blood sugar numbers can be affected by your emotions too. So if you do everything right with your insulin and your carbs, it can still change, and you still have to take a snack or take some insulin to keep your blood sugars in check. There are also continuous glucose monitors to manage your blood sugars without pricking yourself. While insulin therapy keeps people with type 1 diabetes alive and can help keep blood glucose levels within recommended range, it is not a cure, nor does it prevent the possibility of type 1 diabetes serious effects, says JDRF. Managing type 1 diabetes is very hard, but we learn with practice and time. I hope you now know more information on type 1 diabetes and what to look for with warning signs. Also, I hope you know how to help if someone you love is diagnosed. 40,000 people are diagnosed each year in the United States, says JDRF. Type 1 diabetes is serious, and you need to know the warning signs so you don't experience a loss from diabetes, because it can be very life-threatening. Type 1 diabetes can be difficult, frustrating, and it doesn't go away. Despite this, people with type 1 diabetes are an inspiration by the way they face the challenge with courage and strength, and they don't let it stand in the way of achieving their goals.